let's talk about how to eliminate and overcome objections. Now, objections could be introduced at any point through the whole sales conversation. Now, most likely they're going to be introduced right after you give them either the monthly payment or the actual initial payment. Now, before I give you a few examples or a few steps that you need to follow, let's keep in mind that objections are excuses and reasons why customers want to leave. Reasons and excuses why they don't want to make a decision. And the reason why they introduce these objections is simply because they're not satisfied with one of the options. Because if they're satisfied, they're never going to introduce any negatives or any objections. So keep that in mind. So objections are not valid, they're just excuses. You have to keep in mind, they're telling you, look, I'm not happy with the monthly payment, or I'm not happy with the initial payment, and therefore I want to leave. The only problem is that they're not as honest as they should. Meaning they won't tell you, I don't like the initial payment. They're just going to tell you, look, let me think about it. Let me go talk to my spouse. Or you know what, matter of fact, I forgot my wallet. So they're going to introduce objections, but truly what they mean is, I'm not happy with the option. So let me give you a couple rules that I want you to follow when you're introducing the information so that you could at least have a solution on how to overcome and eliminate objections. Now, number one is you need to understand what objections are, which once again, they're excuses and reasons why customers don't want to buy. Number two, why are they introducing the objections? Which, as I mentioned, is simply because they're not satisfied with the monthly payment or the initial payment. Number three, you have to understand the objections, you have to recognize them. So you have to review the list of the most common objections, and you have to know each one of them. Because if you know each one of them, you understand each one of them, then at least you'll be able to recognize them when customers introduce them. Number four, you have to understand how to overcome them. So you have to have the tools. So if an objection is introduced, you need to have the tools to overcome these objections, which once again, within the other segment of the most common objections, you have at least an idea of how to overcome each one of them. Number five, you have to acknowledge any clues, any hints, any gestures, and you have to evaluate their body language, any remark, any statement that they may give you that may indicate that they're either ready to introduce an objection or that eventually they will introduce an objection. So I'll give you an example. Let's just say, for example, you give them the options and they don't necessarily tell you, look, I need to talk to my spouse, but they mention something about, I'm not so sure if my spouse is going to be happy. So they're giving you an idea that they're going to introduce the spouse objection, but they haven't really brought it up 100%. So you have to understand and acknowledge the clues, the hints, the remarks, evaluate their body language. And you need to attack that issue. You need to attack that objection before it happens. So you need to add value, eliminate the objection, or at least eliminate those thoughts before they introduce the actual objection. Number six, you have to keep in mind that the objections are going to be the same almost on every single customer. So you have to learn each one, acknowledge each one, practice on how to overcome each one, learn how to anticipate each one by following the 4 steps, which is qualifying, confirming, selling the concept of quality service, and offering information. So you need to follow that to anticipate each objection, but you truly need to understand that all the objections are the same. They're handled by trust, information, education, demonstration, and a good presentation. So once again, to handle and overcome these objections, you need to follow these steps.